So we're joined now by Jen Robinson, a member of Julian Assange's legal team. Jen, could you give us an overview of what happened today in the court?
Today we heard the arguments from our side, from Julian's side, from both Ed Fitzgerald KC and Mark Summers KC, outlining our grounds of appeal. We heard about the US-UK extradition treaty point, which is that this extradition request is for espionage, which is a political offence, and that's prohibited by the terms of the treaty. So the very treaty that provides the basis for this extradition request prohibits the kind of request that's been made for Julian. We say that that's unlawful under international law, and that it constitutes an abuse of process, an abuse of this court's process for the US to knowingly make a request which is prohibited by the terms of the treaty. We then heard arguments about the Article 10 aspects of this case. Of course, Mark Summers took us through the issues related to Chelsea Manning and the fact that Chelsea Manning's conduct in releasing this information to WikiLeaks would be protected by free speech protections and whistleblower protections under European court jurisprudence, and therefore that what Julian did as a publisher in receiving and publishing this material was also protected acts. So it would be a grave violation of his right to free speech if he's extradited to the United States. We also heard our argument about the application of the First Amendment and the fact that the prosecutors in this case say that Julian won't benefit from First Amendment protections at all. Not only is the prosecutor saying that they will argue this, that as a foreign citizen, as an Australian citizen, that once in the United States he won't benefit from constitutional free speech protections, but that Mike Pompeo, the head of the CIA, said that he does not benefit from them. So we've been hearing a lot about free speech today. We also heard the arguments this afternoon about the use of the death penalty. So we are very concerned that the conduct that Julian's been accused of on the terms of the indictment could be used to charge him with other more serious offences, or indeed be used to sentence him in more serious ways. And we heard a lot about how this prosecution and indictment was instituted after the CIA disclosure, so after Vault 7. So there is a risk that Julian could face further charges once in the United States, and that the conduct as described on the indictment could in fact be used to form the basis of a charge under the Espionage Act that could attract the death penalty, and that's prohibited by the Extradition Act. So it was a long day in court. We heard a lot of very complicated legal arguments, but I think that the judges were receptive.
And tomorrow we are expecting the American side of the arguments, and are we expecting that to be an intense and depressing day, or we're going into it with some feeling of positivity?
I think it's difficult for the US to answer some of these arguments. Of course, we heard today that a number of these points could have been dealt with by the US in terms of assurances, whether we talk about they could have given an assurance that they will not charge him in ways once returned to the United States that would attract the death penalty. They could have given assurances that he will benefit from the First Amendment, and they will not ask a judge to say that he won't benefit. We haven't had any of that from the United States. So they're going to have to grapple with that in terms of their legal arguments. I think we'll hear a lot about the US current prosecution strategy, which I think is a grave concern for all journalists. This is a US administration and a Department of Justice who in this case is prosecuting a case that protected what we would consider to be Article 10 protected activity is a crime.
And just one final question. Did you see Julian? Did he join by video link today?
Unfortunately, Julian is not well enough to attend the hearing, so the judges had made provision for him to actually attend in person, had he so chosen, or to attend by video link, and he has not been able to do either because he's not well. So sadly, Julian was not participating in any way in the proceedings, so we'll be having to brief him about it later today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.